And Dodge honestly didn't have the money to do that because they were spending their money to other companies, right? People that would never have bought a Mustang before will buy a Mustang now. YouTube family, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, please do me a huge favor and go ahead and make sure you comment, like, subscribe to the channel. We want you around for the long haul. We do a lot of car related things on this channel. We want you to be around for all of that. And if you've already subscribed and been rocking with the channel, I want to thank you so much for doing so. But as always, we're not going to hold you too long. We're going to go ahead and get into the topic of today's video. You see the title and you see the thumbnail, so this is what we're going to talk about, man. We know I've been seeing a lot of people like online trying to figure out, you know, how Ford has been able to and will be able to keep making their V8 Mustang while the competition Dodge is gonna bow out after 2023. And I think I don't think, but definitely Ford played the long game and was very smart and strategic about what cars they sold and what they invested their money to, and Dodge couldn't play that same game, unfortunately. So let's talk about some of the things that Ford did and what Dodge did and how they kind of went different directions and kind of ended up where we are now. So there was an article released not too long ago that talked about how Ford is able to keep making the V8 when their competition, aka Dodge, you know, is not going to be able to do so. One thing that Ford really credited for their ability to keep making the V8, and not only keep making V8s, actually completely redesign the Mustang outside, inside, performance-wise, and all that, they gave the credit to the Ford Mach-E. Yes, the electric vehicle allowed them to keep making V8s, which is kind of odd because, you know, we're supposed to be making hybrids and electric vehicles, but they did something smart here. So this is what they did. So what Ford did here a few years ago, and I know everybody's gonna remember this, they came out with the Ford Mach-E, right? And everybody was talking junk saying, why did they come out with the Ford Mach-E? That's not a Mustang. And talking junk. I know I was talking junk about it. I was like, why did they do that and things like that? But Ford actually like invested a lot of money into the EV game early, something Dodge did not do. By Ford thinking and investing into the EV game early, they were able to generate something called, you know, I think it's called emission credits or carbon credits, something like that. Whatever it is, it pretty much, it allows an automotive company, if you're making a certain amount of electric vehicles or you know, hybrid vehicles, things like that, it allows you to come back later or use some of those credits and make some high performance vehicles that kind of are not as fuel efficient, right? So Ford goes out, invests into making this new Mach-E. Now keep in mind, this is during the time frame where they had the S550 chassis, the current Mustang GTs that we're all familiar with seeing. So they went that direction and went and, you know, investing into their EVs and whatnot, but they probably did all that beforehand. Meanwhile, Dodge, you know what they invested in? Dodge was spending money paying other companies to buy their emission credits to keep making the same car over and over and over again, right? And this is kind of why they had to do that. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think they was buying like the emission credits from Tesla, because Tesla, all they make is EVs and they're not planning on making anything like that. So they were spending money to Tesla so they can keep making the Hemis that we all know today. And honestly, the reason they had to do it is because of the fact that, think about this. If you think about Dodge, what cars do you think about? Charger and Challenger, right? That's really the only cars you think about. Dodge, honestly, can't sell any other cars besides the Charger and Challenger. The Charger and Challenger really are the only cars that are carrying Dodge at this moment. Now granted, Dodge has had other cars that it was selling. I mean, they had the Dart, the Journey, what else? I mean, they got the Durango, but mainly if you're buying an SUV, you're not thinking of a Dodge SUV. Most people are not buying a Durango. Most people are buying Tahoes and Ford Explorers and Expeditions, things like that. But, you know, Dodge does not have a wide portfolio of cars to sell you. They are really niched down in what they can sell you. Meanwhile, their competitor Ford has cars for everybody. You got the Expedition, you got the Explorer, you got the Ford Fiesta, I guess they're still making that, the Ford Focus. You have the Ford F-150 line of trucks, all of that. Ford has so many cars that they can sell you that they don't have to rely on just two models. And they were in the EV game so early that they were building up these carbon credits where they can keep making these performance cars. And if you think of what Dodge offers now, Dodge offers you 3 cars, and none of which are fuel efficient. The most fuel efficient car that Dodge has is their V6 lineup of the Charger and Challenger, which is more fuel efficient than the V8s, but not as fuel efficient as some of the other stuff. So that, of course, didn't generate enough, I guess, enough carbon credits or emission credits, whatever you want to call it, to allow them to keep producing V8 vehicles in the future, or, you know, past 2023. And because Dodge was pretty much spending all the extra money to get carbon emission credits from other companies, they didn't have any like extra money for the redeveloped stuff that they had to make better. For example, like with the Mustang, Ford's newest Mustang is a complete full redesign, something that a lot of Dodge people have been complaining about for years. We want new interior, we want more performance, we want more horsepower, all this stuff. We want the car to be redesigned. And Dodge honestly didn't have the money to do that, because they were spending their money to other companies, right? And if we're being completely honest here, and I'll give you something to think about, the last car Dodge kind of brought out that was completely brand new was the Dodge Demon. Because the Dodge Demon, it had a 6.2 liter Demon engine, which, to be honest, even though it's a 6.2 liter supercharged engine, V8, it's not the same as a Hellcat. It's enough differences in that engine versus the Hellcat to pretty much call that a different engine. And pretty much what Dodge did at that point, they took the wide body off the Demon, put it on the Challenger, put on the rest of the Challengers, the Hellcats, the Scatpacks, the Red Eyes, and all that. They took that Demon engine, gave it a few different tunes, gave you the Super Stock, Jailbreak, Red Eye. I'm probably missing an engine in there, but they gave you pretty much more trims out of the same engine just by giving it a different tune, right? They took the drag mode from the Demon, put it in the Super Stock, put it in the Challenger 1320, also in the Charger Super B. So that's what they did. They just took that Demon and just took it apart and just spread out the parts for all the other cars that's out there, so they could keep bringing you a new car. Meanwhile, over at Ford, they did exactly what Dodge people wanted Dodge to do, just redesign the whole car and get more power. Ford was able to do that. And the thing about it is, Ford didn't have all these different V8 engines. That's one thing about Dodge. Dodge has the 5.7, the 392, the Hellcat engine, the Demon engine, the Super Stock, which is pretty much the Demon engine. They have all these different V8s, but Ford really had one V8 they really kept investing to. Now, granted, Ford did have the GT350 and the GT500 on the current platform, but that 5.0 was their engine that they really kept consistently available no matter what. And they really just focused in on that engine instead of trying to keep making all these different trims around it. Ford does not have a million trims. Dodge has a million trims of the same car. And that's why people are getting sick and tired of Dodge, because they really just, they can't give you any more horsepower. The only thing they can really give us is stickers and appearance packages, which honestly doesn't cost them that much to put out. And also, honestly, we can even bring Chevy into the mix here as far as their business plan. I mean, granted, their Camaro is going away, but Chevy still has the Corvette C8 that they can still, that Corvette's not gonna die. Chevy's not gonna let the Corvette die no matter what. That Corvette has been around every year, and Chevy won't let that Corvette die at all. I mean, the Camaro can go, but the Corvette is their flagship car. And also, Chevy has been in the EV game for a long time. They've had EV cars already out there. They got a few EV cars already on the market. So Chevy has been early to the EV game. Ford has been early to the EV game. And also, like I said, Chevy has, like Ford, has a lot of cars they can offer you. They got their Silverado trucks, they got the Ford Trailblazer, Chevy Trailblazer, they got the Tahoe, the Suburban, I think, don't they still got the Chevy Cruze? I think they still got that, maybe. Like, that's the thing, like, Chevy has all these cars to offer, so they can still keep probably pushing out the Corvette. Like, granted, they're gonna come out with a electric Corvette. The E-Ray, I think it's a hybrid. They're coming out with a hybrid Corvette, but still, that's something that Dodge didn't even get to. They didn't even get to a hybrid with these cars. They just skipped from V8 to nothing. I know a lot of people watching the video aren't feeling the EVs or anything like that, but if they came out with a hybrid, you know, Charger or Challenger or something like that, well, we can still have the option to have maybe some sort of V8 in the car, but also have that electric option. I think people will be more open to that versus just going straight full electric, and that's kind of what I've been seeing based on some of the comments and what I've been reading out there. At the end of the day, man, I want to say, man, Ford has won the muscle car wars, man. They played the long game, they played it smart to the point where they are going to be the only V8 out there for people to buy, right? People that would never have bought a Mustang before will buy a Mustang now. I've seen a lot of people that's been Mopar no car forever, but they see that Mustang coming out with more power, a redesign, and a new interior, and like, you know what? If I can't get a Challenger or a Charger, well, I mean, Chargers, that's different for it, but if I can't get a Challenger and a V8, I might get that Mustang. I mean, honestly, like, Ford did it right, man. They outlasted their competitors. Ford's not gonna let the Mustang die, much like how Chevy won't let the Corvette die. Ford has this Mustang, and they're gonna keep it around. The Mustang has never went out of production. It's always been available every single year, and Ford will do whatever it takes to make sure that car stays there. They will, you know, put out an electric SUV and call it a Mustang just to keep that Mustang alive, which honestly, we laughed at at first, but that was, you know, kind of smart now that we look back on it. And I'm going to wrap up today's video. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, man. Let me know your thoughts here. I mean, do you think Ford played it smart? I 100% do. I think they played it really smart to make sure they were the last man standing. And honestly, they didn't, I'm gonna be completely honest, they did not redesign that car just for it to come out for 1 year. That car's gonna be out for a few more years, so they're gonna be the only V8 standing for years to come. I read in the article they said that platform, they're expecting to have that platform last for like 8 years, which I do believe them. You're not gonna spend that much money redesigning a full car just for it to be there for 1 year, right? So Ford is gonna be in the money when it comes to the muscle car game. They're gonna be the only one left. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll catch you on the next one. We are out. Cut it.